Hello everyone, what's up? Hope y'all are doing good. We are back into our weekly market outlook. So this will be for first week of April, start of the second quarter. So we're going to talk about the week from 1st April 2019 to 5th April. So for those who do not know me, my name is SK. I'm a professional trader, investor, and I actually look into US stock market most of the time, and that's how I generate my income. So let's just roll in straight to the weekly market outlook. And for those who knows my style, I always start with looking at SPY or the ETFs for SP500, one of the best index ever to judge what's the condition of a US market at the moment. Now, I think most of y'all who are already trading right now are probably in two states. If you are in a very bullish state, then you'll be very happy with all your trades. But if you would have been on the sideline waiting for retracement, I'm very sure market would have frustrated you because of all those bull runs of last week with an amazing move up, and despite already been moving for the last about 2-3 months. And just to let y'all know, S&P 500 actually locked in one of the best quarter in the last 20 years. The best quarter since 1998, the first quarter. That's the kind of quarter we have gone through since January 2019 to the last day of last trading day of March 2019. So I'm going to bring forward to all your attention to S&P 500. Let's just take a look on where it is right now. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the long term about S&P 500 at the moment. Okay, I'm just going to focus slightly more on the shorter term based on what just happened throughout since last year February up to right now. Okay, that's about a 1 year period duration. So if I'm going to look at this, and as usual, any technical analyst will always start off with drawing their support lines, resistance line. So let's just do it a bit slightly different. Instead of drawing a line, we look at it from a zone perspective, okay? Because remember, support resistance will never be in a single rigid line. It's always there is a kind of like a small region that it moves, a small zone. So if you're going to mark this is the support. For those who are thinking what kind of time period I'm looking at, this is actually a weekly chart for S&P 500 or S&P 500, okay? So SPY, this is the support zone, blue color. And if I were to draw the resistance, so these are the kind of resistance that we are looking at. Okay, so roughly around here. Yeah. So just to make things clearer, I usually change my resistance zone to red. So just to make viewing is a bit more easier. Okay, now we know red is resistance, blue is support. So where are we? Obvious. We are in the resistance zone without a single doubt. So if we looked at the weekly chart, okay, let's just go into a bit more details apart from the support and resistance. There's no doubt we are in a resistance zone. So if we zoom in further, we can see that as of 2 weeks ago, we had a bearish candlestick with a quite a reasonable amount of volume over here. For those who knows about candlestick patterns, this is definitely what we call as a shooting star. But again, the shooting star was not confirmed, not really. There's no continuation in the weak movements, in the weakness. Thus, we had last week, we had quite a bullish candle. But one thing that is a bit doubtful about this candle is not only that the volume was slightly lower than the previous bearish candle, is the fact that last week was actually the last week of March, or the first quarter. Remember, usually when pretty much the whole month of March has been quite bullish, if you all know that. So if it has been bullish, the last week of March will usually you follow that overall trend for that month. And because one of the reason is because a lot of fund managers and stuffs, they actually do some kind of bookkeeping so that to report, okay, how well did my fund do for the week or for the whole quarter. That's how they report to their investors. So what they do is they like to dump all those weak stocks. They try to buy good stocks, uptrending stocks, usually which are around that part of S&P 500. So that is why kind of like it gives an extra bullishness to the market. And thus we are still pretty much stuck in that resistance zone at the moment. You could see that we are here, we are kind of like continue to be here without much clearer retracement, despite going through like before that we had almost a 13 weeks continuous up move. Okay, so what can we further deduce from this? One of the fact that we should be aware of is we had a huge rebound over here. Should we be expecting a retracement? Yes, we should be expecting a retracement over here. But one thing that is really kind of like coming into my point of view is this. If we look how the reaction was every time the stock actually touched this resistance zone, okay, we could realize few things. Apart from this fact, apart from this run, we realize that each time when the stock actually SPY gets near to the resistance zone, the reaction sell-off was quite huge. Okay, it was quite huge. Over here, definitely huge. Over here, really huge. Over here, we have not really seen that huge down move. It was pretty controlled. So what we can actually conclude based on usual price action theories that they have is that people follow is when you come to this resistance zone, if the stock continues to float there compared to its previous time when it came to this resistance zone, it shows that the resistance is getting weaker. That means the sellers are not as active as before. Okay, if they would have been active as soon as it reached this resistance zone, we could have seen a huge sell-off. But the part that is interesting is that it did not happen. So this shows that the stock is pretty much, the SP 500 is pretty much strong over here. The resistance is still there. That's why we got the shooting star and such. But again, it is not as strong as before. Okay. Does that mean we can go bullish at the moment? No, we can't, because this is a moment where we gotta wait. You're gonna take trades, you gotta take something that is really, really safe. If not, you gotta hold on till now, because you gotta wait till this resistance zone is broken. If not, if you ever take a position at the moment, that means you are taking quite a risky position. So that's basically where we are when it comes to looking at the overall market at the S&P 500. So this is pretty much the same story with all the other index. Before I go to the other index, let me just show you one particular point that is kind of like in my mind right now that bothers me at the moment. This is where I'm going to just go zoom out a bit, okay? And I'm going to draw a particular trend line that has been guiding the market like pretty much since 2015. Let me just go ahead and draw that. So trend line, so for those who knows about the anchor analysis, you know about trend line, you connect all those lows, you connect all those highs, so you kind of get a trend line. Usually it kind of like exists in most of the index. So I'm going to do the same over here. If I had to draw, let me just draw a bit first before I go further. Because usually I draw it, then I will go ahead and adjust my lines, alright? So if I were to adjust all these lines, okay, I connect all those lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? You can see one particular worrying point, okay? Usually, a support line is trend line, goes up, touch back and goes up. And over here, it broke that particular trend line. Thus, we had a pretty much a steep down move then after. And in most situations, when a trend line is broken, the market will actually come back and retest that trend line, okay, to see if it could break up higher, okay? Or to me, how do I see it? It's like a second chance. For those who fail to clear their positions over here, this is like a second chance. But, okay, to clear it. So over here, that is where we are seeing the weakness. So this trend line is pretty much like a support turned resistant trend line at the moment. Earlier it was supporting the market. Now it pretty much resisting the market. That is why as soon as the market reached the point over here, we could see a sell down. And we are still there at the moment. So two things. From a horizontal perspective, we are at the resistance zone. From a trend line perspective, we are at the support turned resistance. Okay, so if any breakdown below here, that indeed is a break. It's quite a bearish news. Okay, that means we could expect quite a steep sell-off after that. If it does not, okay, if it breaks higher than that, then we are looking into real bullishness then after, which pretty much market will easily go beyond 3000 then after, if we are able to break this resistance zone, both horizontal and as well as the trend line. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show y'all. I know some of y'all are frustrated with this all this up move, no stop. Okay, it pretty much just went ahead one by one week after another week. That is market. Okay, we just got to adapt ourselves with all those situation that takes place. We got to adapt with this situation, we got to adapt with this situation. That's where the experience comes in on how to adapt based on the market situation. So now what we should be doing is to be safe. It's good to be on the sideline, but if you still need to trade, then you should actually attempt trades that are really safe, either by options or by buying the stocks outright. So as I said, all the same story across the other index. So let's just take a look at Dow Jones Industrial Average. So Dow Jones Industrial Average are pretty much looking to show the same thing as well. So again, pretty much it's the same story from the perspective of the zones. Okay, so if I were to draw the zone, this is what pretty much we will get. So we're going to look at the resistance zone that is pretty much over here. Okay, so that is the resistance. So let me just change that to red. Okay, done. And we're going to look at the same thing, but from the support side. So we're going to look at this. Okay, so this is pretty much our support zone. You could see that rebound, and pretty much broke at one point, but were quick to come back up. Okay, so here we are again, the same story, kind of floating near the resistance zone. It looks like the resistance is getting weaker. Okay, but that worry point that I mentioned earlier exists the same as well. If I were to draw the trend line, you get the same idea, right? So you can see again the same story. We are there. Touch here. This is the trend line that was guiding the market all throughout since 2015. Right now it's pretty much over here. Okay, we kind of touched it and it's where it retraced. So that's Dow Jones, and of course for Nasdaq we look at the ETF. It's ETF, which is QQQ. All right, and again, I would not have to repeat the same story. We're going to look at the pretty much the same thing. Just give me a moment where the chart loads. Sometimes it just takes a longer time. So we are here in the first week of April, as well as the first week of second quarter. So one of the biggest thing that we need to look at the coming weeks is when the earnings starts. Okay, we're going to start with, as usual, we have all those banks reporting their earnings. Okay, JPM, BAC and stuff. And a point to note is, while we wait for QQQ to load, let me just share with you this particular sector overview. You can see for the last 1 week, okay, the last week of March, we had SP500 index rising up as much as 1.2% despite being in the resistance zone. That is quite a huge move that pretty much took a lot of investors by surprise. So what we can see from here, from based on the sector overlook, kind of something that I look at every single week, is the biggest riser is definitely industrials, partly driven by the fact that the US and China discussions are taking place. The trade war is moving along in a right way. That agreement could be up soon. That is why industrials are up big time. Okay, energy pretty much a stable 1%, technology 1%. So almost all of these sectors are pretty up, moving up quite well, except for utilities, which pretty much normal, because when the market is bullish, when investors are willing to take that slightly extra risk, you won't see utilities moving higher. Instead, you will see utilities moving lower, because that is a defensive sector. When someone is bullish, you don't have to be defensive. So that is the basic logic behind why utilities is down and all the other sectors are pretty much moving very well up. Okay, and of course communication service, pretty much nothing much. Okay, there's no real news behind it. So all these stocks, okay, looking at all these things, financial is the one who got the hit the most throughout the whole month of March. That is why it has moved down 3%. So it is important for financials to resume its uptrend. If it doesn't, then we could see a major weakness in SP 500. Because the two sectors that makes a lot of weightage in SP 500 is financial and as well as technology. Technology has moved up very well in the whole of March. That's about 4.43% up. But on the in reverse, financial is down by 3%. So that is why we kind of like stuck in that movement. Okay, so we stuck in the S&P 500. You could see earlier I said the resistance zone. We are pretty much stuck over there. So coming back to QQQ, we kind of look at the same story, slightly different. Okay, we don't really have that horizontal move. Okay, even if we're going to mark that, we can mark it for the support. Okay, we are pretty much, this is our support over here. Okay, and resistance continues to be somewhere around here. Alright, so this is where our resistance is. Let me just change, and here you go. Alright, so again the same pattern. That is why it's all repetitive and with a shooting star and with almost a very nice volume. So to me, if you ask me, should I be bullish? Am I bullish? But now we have seen all the QQQ, we have seen the Dow Jones, we have seen the S&P 500. Am I bullish? Long term, yes, I am bullish. Okay, from a very long term perspective, you can see over here the same story resisted at the uptrend trend line. But for short term, I'm definitely bearish. Okay, you won't be. I'm not sure if we're gonna get a huge sell-off like how we got in the early of last year, or even in the December. I doubt that we will have. One of the main reasons is because the next year is the presidential year. So this year, things will be pretty much more controlled. That adds up to my long-term bullishness. But the short term, to coming to next 3 to 4 weeks, especially as we approach towards May, I'm kind of expecting weakness. And I do expect S&P 500, SPY, at least, in my thoughts, to at least retest the 270. But that is just my pre-assumption. Okay, pre-assumption sometimes is just a waste in the stock market. Okay, we gotta just adapt based on how the market is moving. All I can say right now is I'm on the sideline. I'm long term, I'm bullish. Is it near term? I'm slightly leaning towards the bearishness. Okay, but if it is able to break above this resistance zone, then the story pretty much changes. The whole story pretty much changes. So watch out for this level, anywhere between 282 to 285. That is the level that you should be looking at. 285, 286. These are the levels that you should look at. And looking at the futures at the moment, it does look like we are going to have another nice up move, another gap up at opening, as China reports a much better than expected number. Okay, in terms of the economics, and things have improved. So again, news from China is just going to rebound the market. But the point is, can the market hold on to that gain? We'll know that in near future. So for this week alone, I'm kind of expecting a flat market. Not much. I'm expecting a flat market, despite market may be opening huge at today on a Monday, 1st of April. But I do think as we go on throughout the week, we're going to see some weakness, and we're going to also have the jobs report number on Friday. So that could also add further juice to the market, either downside or upside. But to me, this week, the market is just going to be flat. Okay, so that is my take for the week. And that's pretty much sums up what I wanted to share with you all on the overall market outlook for first week of April 2019. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'll be glad to answer them. And if you have not followed my YouTube channel yet, just go down, click on the subscribe button, and I will share more details with y'all in the coming weeks. That's about it, guys. Thank you very much. Signing off, SK. I wish y'all a happy trading throughout this week and throughout this whole year. See y'all and take care. Bye.